Welcome back, everybody. This is the second installment in creating one of these shells, these printed shells, for our Ozark Trail can cooler. So, remember, I have a new website at 3dprintingtheworld.com. It is still under construction. So, if you visit and comment, please be nice. And let's pop over to Fusion and let's get started. So this is where we left off last time. This was our basic initial design. We have an opening in the center. We can shove our can cooler in. We have a ledge on the bottom that will stop our cooler from going all the way through. It also has a 45-degree angle on it, so it will print nice. It's printing in this orientation. The shadow down here shows our bottom. And we have this really nice hollow shell thing on the bottom at this angle that's going to do two things. It's going to make it harder to tip over, and it's going to give us a nice anti-wobble bottom for setting down on uneven surfaces like gravel or whatever you might set things on. Or my desk, for one. So, but we want a handle. So let's make ourselves a handle. To do that, I am going to start by creating a sketch, and I'm going to create it on this lip. Let's zoom in a little bit. Zooming in and out is middle mouse wheel. Moving from side to side or up or down is center mouse button. And rotating is right mouse button. So I'm going to click create a sketch. I am going to click my upper lip there. And let's zoom out a little bit. And let's start by making ourselves a construction line. So I'm going to hit L on the keyboard for line. And hang on just a second with me. I'm going to hit L on the keyboard for line. I am going to draw my line down here someplace because I'm going to lock it into that center shortly. The length doesn't matter. I just want the I just want the angle to be 0 degrees. So I am going to lock it in. I'm going to hit escape to get rid of my line tool. And now I am going to click it to highlight it. I'm going to click coincident over here in the sketch palette under constraints. And I am going to click my circle. That's going to lock that line into my center line that intersects the center of this. Now, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to click my line to highlight it, and I'm going to click construction. Because as it is now, that line is going to be part of my geometry. And I don't want it as part of my geometry. It's just a drawing aid, a crutch, if you will. So it now changes into a dotted line, and it is now just an aid to help me get things centered and arranged the way I like them. So what do we need? We need a handle. I'm going to hit C for center diameter circle. I'm going to draw this out. I figured ahead of time I want that to be 30 millimeters. Hit enter. Enter again to lock it in. Now I want to make this down on my line. I could have done this. Let's control Z back a step. Let's get rid of my circle. I could have done center diameter circle, and I could have locked it into my line down here and 30, enter, enter, or I could draw it out into space out here and then use the coincident constraint to lock it into the circle, or excuse me, to lock it onto the line. But now it's locked onto my line because I've made it on that line. I can move it in and out, but I can't move it off that line. I want it to be a distance. So I have decided that I want a 20 millimeter hole through the handle to put my fingers through. So I'm kind of adding stuff up here. I'm kind of coming out 40 millimeters from the center to actually it's 43, but I'm not going to worry about the 40 millimeters, a 20 millimeter hole, and to the edge of this is 60. And I don't want to make it 60. 60 is going to be awful tight. So let's make it 65. So I'm going to hit D for dimension. I'm going to click the center of my circle here. I'm going to click the center of this circle. Oop, I missed something. There we go. And let's make this 65. Enter, enter. And that doesn't really look like much space, but I'm going to cut some of that out with the hole for my fingers. So that changed my view on me. So let's come back up here and say perspective with ortho faces. Now, I can't move this circle in or out, and I can't move it off of that line. So escape to get rid of my dimension tool, and let's click create and extrude. Let's click our circle, and let's move our circle down. And I know I want it 95 because I want the whole length of the can part of this. Oops, what happened? Where did it go? I lost it completely, didn't I? Let's do Control Z, get back. Oops, I really undid this, didn't I? Let's change this back to my, what did I say, 65? I don't know what happened there, but so we're going to extrude. I hit E instead of use the keyboard. I want to extrude that, and I want to come 95. There we go, right there, and okay. So there's my handle. I'm not sure about that 65 millimeters, but we can revisit that. So now I need to attach the handle, don't I? So to do that, let's make another sketch. And I could come back and use that previous sketch, but I kind of like to do everything in individual steps. I find that an individual step that only has one construction part of it is easier to come back and change later if I need to. So create a sketch. I'm just going to use the top surface of the handle because it is on the same plane with the very top of our cup. And I'm going to make another construction line for myself too. I could bring that other one back, but pretty easy to make another one. There's my line. Highlight it. Click coincident. Click my center circle. It's now locked into the center. Click to highlight it again and click construction to make it a construction line. So now what I think I'm going to do, what's the simplest way to do this? Probably a 2-point rectangle. So I'm going to come to sketch and rectangle and 2-point rectangle. You know what? I think I've changed my mind. Let's go up to sketch, rectangle, and let's try a center rectangle. That might save us a step. So I'm going to lock into my center construction line, because after all, that's probably why I made it. And I'm going to make myself this rectangle. And I don't really care about how big it is right now. Let's just click it to make it. Let's hit escape to get rid of our rectangle tool. Let's bring up D for dimension. Let's click our dimension line here and our center line. And we're going to make that dimension half of the diameter of our circle, which was, what was it? It was 30 millimeters, so we're going to make it 15. And since this is a center rectangle, it's going to automatically make the other side of it 15 as well. And there it is. So now what I'm going to have to do, I want to extrude this down to make our piece down here. But to do that, I'm probably going to have to move this line in. Oops, move this line of the rectangle in until it just does that. So let's see how that works for us. And again, it changed my view. So back over here to perspective with ortho faces. So let's click on E to extrude. Let's click this part here and let's pull it down. Now notice as I pull down, it's making a cut. I don't want it to be a cut. And the reason it's a cut and the reason this wasn't a cut, the handle wasn't a cut because it didn't intersect anything. This intersects both my, well, it doesn't intersect my handle, but it intersects my cup. So I can't make the 95 minus plus 95 or it would draw it up above. So I need to come over here to my extrude toolbox and I need to change cut to join. And there, and I'm going to say okay. And there's my handle. So I need holes for my fingers and I need to make this a little bit smoother overall. So let's do those things right now. Let's make the hole for the handle and then we'll probably stop it there because I'm pushing 10 minutes. So I'm trying to keep these down to 12, 13 minutes long. So let's sketch create a sketch on this plane here. And if you guys like longer videos, let me know. But I have had a couple complaints about the 30, 40-minute videos. So I'm trying to make them shorter, and I'm seeing my average view length is probably 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm thinking maybe if I make them smaller or shorter, I'll get more views and more people will watch it all the way through rather than be daunted by a 40-minute video. So I am now drawing on this plane here. Now, how to make this cutout for my fingers? You know what? There's probably a bunch of different ways I could do it. I could use a rectangle, and then I could fill at the edges. I could make multiple circles. I could make 2 circles and then a line in between them. But we have a tool in Fusion called the slot tool. Let's try it. So I'm going to click on slot and overall slot. I could draw an arc slot or even a whole circle slot if I wanted. But I'm going to click overall slot. And I'm just going to kind of guesstimate this to begin with. I am going to click up there. I am going to come down to around there. And now I'm going to come out. And I know I want 20 millimeters. And there we go. And it turns out my 65 is looking pretty good. But I don't think so. But let's come out 20 millimeters. There's my 20 millimeter slot. Let's dimension it. So I'm going to hit D for dimension. I'm going to first click this line, then this line. I'm going to come up. I've been going with 3, so let's stay with 3. And let's do the same for this. D for dimension, here to here. And 20 millimeters, 10, 5. Let's try 8. 8 millimeters, enter. Oh, that didn't work out at all, did it? All right, I don't know what I did wrong. Let's try 18. Did I leave a 1 out? 18's bigger than what I want, so let's try about half of that. Let's try 10, see what 10 gives me. 10's not enough either. What's going on here? How come I can't get something I want? Let's try 15. Yeah, 15's good. I like 15. So let's do it again down here. Here to here. And 15. Okay, so that has done that, but now I don't really, I want more of a hole. I'm going to put a hole down here, and that hole is going to cause me a problem with that. So I'm going to stop this sketch here, and I'm going to go back and find the sketch where I distanced my handle, dimensioned my handle out from my cup. And I think that is this sketch here. Am I right? I'm going to edit that sketch, and I'm going to up my 65. I'm going to up my 65 to 75. I'm going to give myself another 10 millimeters there, and let's say stop sketch, and I think that was a little bit much. So let's go back to that sketch one more time. Edit sketch, and let's change the 75 to 70. And stop sketch, and that looks better. So let's put the hole here through for our handle. We're going to come to create and extrude. We're going to click on there. I'm not going to be overly fancy about it. I'm just going to drag it out there as a cut and say OK. And let's zoom this out. And there is basically our completed unit. We're still going to put some embellishments on it. And I think we'll do that in the next video. We'll put those on it. We'll save it. We'll put it over to Cura, and we will print it and come back and see how well it works. And if you've liked this video, if I've helped you out, entertained you, please like and subscribe. I have some affiliate links below. They don't cost you anything, and they help me out. And please check out my website if you get a chance at 3dprintingtheworld.com. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.